2414 is a podcast about finding hope and common ground through casual conversation. Like the friends on the road in the New Testament, in Luke chapter 24, verse 14, we want to walk away with more understanding that leads to more conversation as the journey continues. Thanks for walking with us.
Hey, welcome to 2414. My name's Dan, sitting next to co-host Shane Welter, regular friend and guest of the show, Brenda Segovia. And today, back by popular demand from our very first episode ever, Jan Grothe. Jan is a co-worker, teammate here at St. Luke's. She is also the voice behind the intro and outro of the podcast.
Correct.
Actually, Jan's never been in an episode.
No, that was just a
Never been in an episode.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was the lost episode, we'll call that one.
That was the test.
The
It was
unreleased.
the test, right?
We didn't talk about anything. It was just us reading a script that you
Can you
prepared.
read a script? Yes.
You should release that as a blooper on your 100th episode.
I've intentionally kept it. So
There you go.
Okay, well, this is already amazing. Thank you for watching. Thanks for listening, friends. Thanks for being at the table. We are continuing thinking about Thanksgiving. Last episode, we talked about International Thanksgiving. Today, we're looking at the theme of hospitality around Thanksgiving. So before we jump into that, though, we'll share highs and lows. And the question of the day has to do with the celebrating all the different holidays that kind of get compressed around this time. And do you specifically, I'm looking ahead to Christmas now,
ooh.
because retail stores have their own timeline of when it's time to bring out the igloos and snowmen and Santa. Different people have different family traditions of when it's time. If you celebrate Christmas or have Christmas music or decorations, when is the appropriate time in your house for that to start? And we're not judging each other. This is a safe place. Our listeners aren't going to be accused or condemned. We're speaking for self, about self, of what it looks like in our lives and not making value judgments on others unless we need to, in which case we sure can. Okay, Shane, you want to kick us off for lows, highs, and when do you start Christmas festivities in your home?
Yeah, sure. All right. So let's say I'll start with low just to end more optimistically. Low, this weekend, I don't know. It was just rough. I think I just had too much on my plate, not enough sleep. And I don't know. It was just in a dark place, kind of mentally, emotionally. But I've still not getting sleep. But I feel a little more kind of optimistic, just better emotionally. The show coming together, this upcoming weekend, I guess by the time this is released.
The Music Man here at St. Luke's, November 4th and 5th, and then the following weekend.
Yeah, and then the following Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
11, 12, 13, yeah.
I don't know if you're interested. Just go to St. Luke's dash.
So the first one will be done by the time this airs.
That's true.
That's true.
Yeah.
So either way, it's exciting. So I'm getting more kind of cemented with my role, and just so feeling confident with parts, song lines, and everything, so I can have more freedom with my character. So it's fun. I'm having fun with it. So that's the high. It is a lot of work preparing for the musical, but it's to the point now where I'm like, okay, I'm having fun with it. So rolling with it. So yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Just low, just so much going on. High. It's all good things.
People are like, wow, he's a good actor. You could feel it through the headphones. Wow.
You can feel.
How do I get tickets again?
The website.
Yeah. StLukesChurch.com.
Yeah.
You'll find it.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
something close to that. So yeah.
And what about when does Christmas begin, either in your household
that's
growing up or in your married house now?
Lauren and I are still finding that kind of routine, but I'd like to think it's just after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
After Thanksgiving or the 1st of December. So one of those, either one, whenever we get more motivation to set decorations up or whatnot.
I was going to ask, do you have a marker of now it's Christmas time? What's the first thing you do to get that party started?
I would say the tree is the catalyst.
Okay.
So at least mentally, it's Christmas time because there's a tree up and the inside decorations of a home So, that's what it is for me, at least.
Cool. All right, Brenda, how about you? Lows, highs, when does Christmas start growing up or in your newlywed home?
A high for me. So last night with the youth group here at church, we played Cranium. And
Wow, it's been a while since
I have not played Cranium probably since high school. So had to kind of explain the rules. It's a brand new box, so opening all the packages, getting the cards ready for them, and pairing them up into different groups. And it was
There's like 4 teams with that one? Or
it's 4 teams, but we did 3 teams of 3, and then I just kind of organized and like kept them on track, which we needed. But it was just so fun to see the ones that like to do more of the acting, the ones that say, oh, I've got this, I'm gonna hum this song and they're gonna know what it is, or I really want to do the Play-Doh stuff and I want to create the thing, or I really like to draw. So just knowing which group picked which category, like some of them were always blue and some of them were always red. So that was kind of fun. It also made me realize that I am getting older because so many of the humdinger category ones,
what's a humdinger?
Humdinger is you either hum or whistle a song
that's an
and try
old
to
phrase.
get your team to guess it. And so many of the songs I thought were still current. There were some Beyonce songs in there and they did not know them.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, you don't know that one? What about this one? You surely know this one. And they are like, oh no, I don't know that song. I'm like, oh. Okay.
I couldn't hum a Beyonce song if you gave me $1,000.
Well,
I wouldn't know where to start.
Me either.
You would know one.
You'd recognize it.
I would recognize.
Yeah.
I could probably like sing some of the lyrics if you did it, but I wouldn't be able to like, oh, that's Beyonce, or hey Dan, hum a Beyonce song. Crickets. Push the button, Shane. Is there a Dan's humming Beyonce?
I got rid of the cricket sound effect because it sucked.
Too soon.
All right.
I'll give you that.
Okay. So Brenda's old and she knows more Beyonce than our youth.
Yeah, so sure, that is my high, all of that. My low is that yesterday, Adam, my husband, we only saw each other like still sleeping. When Adam got up for work, I was still in bed. When I came home from work, he was already in bed. So that's all we saw of each other.
That was your low,
That was my low.
Okay.
That was my low. But tonight I said, I'm going to get home early. He's like, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you. I'm like, that was a nice text.
Awake.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. So that was
Awake.
sweet.
Yeah.
Awake. Yeah. Where we'll actually talk and see each other. Yeah. And Christmas stuff. So I think for us as a married couple and establishing new routines and all that, I'm sure we will wait until after Thanksgiving, especially because we'll go away for Thanksgiving. So probably December 1st we'll start putting things up. Plus, I think we just rush things too much. There's nice Thanksgiving decorations, and I don't want to put those away yet. The pumpkins are fall leaves, and the color orange, I like it, so I don't want to put it away just yet. So we'll wait till December 1st, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you have a first thing, kind of the first domino that sets it all off?
Well, I guess a little bit before December 1st, but on actual Thanksgiving, at Adam's parents' house, the only thing that's allowed to be on TV is Hallmark movies. So Hallmark Christmas movies, the cheesy ones. And then we're only allowed to play Christmas music. So that's when on Thanksgiving, it's Hallmark movies and Christmas music. So that kind of kicks off the season. Yeah.
Cool. Wow. All right, Jan, the voice of the podcast.
Well, low would be last night. Robert and I were sitting and just watching a show on TV, and we heard thunder, really loud crash of thunder, and then discovered thunder was our tree falling on our deck.
Oh, no.
So, yes, that was a low to discover that. And we didn't realize it. You know, it's in the backyard. It's dark back there until this morning when we got up and saw that.
Was it windy?
I don't think it was especially windy. In fact, I didn't even, when we heard what we thought was thunder, I thought, I didn't even know it was raining. And my husband, Robert, goes, well, you know, that thunder was really close. It was really close. Yep. So now we will be dealing with insurance and fixing our deck and getting that fallen tree off of there.
So it's still there.
Oh, yeah, it's still there. Yes, I took pictures of it this morning thinking, well, you know, before Robert comes home and starts dealing with this. I want to see what this looks like.
Yeah.
I could hardly get out the door because it
my.
smashed against our screen door, trying to get out onto the deck. So, yep.
Glad I didn't go through the door.
Oh, I was too, or rip the screen as it fell down on it. Yeah, but thankfully that didn't happen. So that was my low.
Yeah.
High. Well, I'm going away for the weekend to Seaside with my friend, and so excited to have a weekend away. And this is the kind of weekend we do very little. Sometimes we decide to go for a walk, but if it even looks like rain, we won't. Or we'll walk in the rain, just what we feel like. We eat when we want to eat, and we watch football all Sunday, and we have a fantasy...
After church?
We have a fantasy football team that we share, and so we keep track of all of that, and also highlight our two favorite teams. For her, it's the Seahawks. For me, it's the Packers. And just relax. Don't do much of anything. It's just really fun. And she cooks. I clean up after her cooking, and it works really well for me.
Wow. That's
don't
awesome.
have to think about And we have a condo where it has two sides that look out into the ocean, so it's just really beautiful and so
Gray.
relaxing.
Like a Northwest beautiful, right?
Like a Northwest beautiful.
Like gray and foggy.
And we don't care if it's raining. It's the ocean.
Okay, so it sounds like you've been doing that. Like, this isn't your first year going away for that kind of a
This
trip.
is not. This is, well, I don't know, like 20 years maybe.
Wow.
I don't know. I'd
That's
have
such
to
a cool
figure it out.
tradition to have
a
with a
long
friend.
time. Yep. To go away.
Shane, how many friendships do you have that have lasted more than 20 years?
How old am I?
17.
I don't know.
All right.
Just do parents count?
We'll ask them. It's got to be mutual.
It's gotta be mutual.
Cool, Jan. That's exciting.
So Christmas, well, I've already started Christmas in my house.
All right.
Playing that Christmas music. But,
When did it start?
well, this last Friday, my grandson came, he comes to my house on Fridays, and he was not feeling well, so he didn't go to school. So we worked on his parent Christmas gift during that time. And so we played Christmas music while working on a Christmas gift. Wow. So that started it. But quite honestly, I play Christmas music all year long. It's just, it's my favorite kind of music. I like it. My mom had told me just recently that when I was born, it was the hottest day, because I was born in July. The hottest day was on my birthday. And so to help all the people in the hospital, which was not air conditioned, they played Christmas music to get them mentally somewhere else. And I said, so that's why I like Christmas music. I was born with Christmas music.
Love it.
Yeah. But I think the first thing we do besides that is put up the tree right after Thanksgiving. So the Friday after Thanksgiving, I put up the tree. I love having it up there. Just love the lights. I like waking up to see the lights, going to bed, looking at the lights. I just love the lights on the tree, and especially, when it's dark, just to have those lights. And I regret seeing it go every year.
Now, Jan, am I remembering correctly that you and your neighbor may or may not have a competition about this?
Well, we may or may not have a competition. Okay, so I started putting up my tree earlier and earlier because she would put up her tree earlier and earlier. And and it's not like we actually have a competition, but I'm going, she already has her tree up. It's so early. And I missed the deadline for putting up a tree.
So you've never talked about it?
Oh, we've never talked about it.
You're peering through the curtains, glaring at one another.
Looking at her big window, and and one year I thought she had not put up her tree at all. I'm going, success. My tree is up. And then when I drove by, I saw it was at a different location in her living room. Oh yeah, tricky.
Okay, that makes me think of the Grinch. Isn't that in that original Grinch, the two moms are competing like across the street with their lights, and the one has like that machine that strings the lights, and like who can make their house brighter and flashier?
I don't remember that moment. Comment
You're
below
talking
if
about
Brenda's correct.
the live action.
The live
Grinch?
action.
live action
one.
one.
Oh,
Yeah.
you said the original Grinch, like the
Oh,
first
sorry. I guess I don't know which one is the original.
one. The
That would be the cartoon one.
from
Yeah.
50 years ago.
Right.
Never mind.
So
The second one.
Brenda's
maybe.
not as old as she thinks she is. That's my takeaway here. She's old enough to know Beyonce, but not old enough to know Boris Karloff. And
Oh,
Accurate.
yeah, Boris
Accurate.
Karloff.
No idea.
all right, that's great. All right, coming full circle here. Lows and highs for me. I think one of my ongoing lows is trying to align what I value and care about with how I use my time. Fear of missing out, FOMO, was like a big phrase a few years ago. I don't think I have that. Like, when we drive by someplace, when we moved actually from, I guess we were moving from St. Louis to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. We drove close to Mount Rushmore, and it was like an hour off our path, and we'd already driven 12 hours that day. And Charlotte's like, we're never going to be this close. We should go. And I was like, I don't care. Like, I don't have any regret about missing out on a thing to say we saw it. So in general, I don't have this fear of missing out. But there are things I care about that I really want to do, and I don't have enough time. Like, I want to read more, and I want to watch the World Series game and the Blues game and the Kraken game and play video games and help my kids with their homework and be a track coach. And there's just, and I don't want to let go of any of them, but there isn't nearly enough time for even most of them, let alone all of them. So then I have that kind of regret of, man, I want to read this book, or I really want to sit down and do spelling words with Titus. And no matter what I do, there's more things I didn't do. So I don't know what that phrase is, just buyer's remorse, or I guess opportunity cost would be another phrase for that. So I feel that right now.
So your low is just too many things you want to do.
Yeah, just and maybe even not being intentional about those choices, sort of passively doing what's easy or normal or routine, and then regretting not having put thought into it ahead of time. So just kind of do a default thing, and then missed out on something that if I had taken more time, I probably maybe would have chosen that. That's my low. My high, it's a silly high, because here on 2414, real life has great lows, great highs, little lows, and little highs, and I think we should celebrate all of them. So this Seattle Kraken hockey game last night, they were tied 2-2 going into the third period in Calgary against the Calgary Flames, who are probably a better team. And so Calgary scored 2 goals within 17 seconds. We're down 4-2. That's it. Game's over. Turn it off. This morning at the bus stop, some dad goes, "Can you believe they came back last night?" What?
You turned it off?
I turned it off.
God.
So I don't regret that, because I made better choices with my time.
Well, okay.
But my high is, how crazy is that the Kraken came back and won? So I'm wearing a Seattle Kraken t-shirt today to the office, like a professional.
Wait, they came back with
They
17
won.
seconds
No.
left?
So score was 2-2. Calgary scored, and then 17 seconds later, Calgary scored again.
Oh,
so they
gotcha.
doubled the amount of goals we had in the first 2 periods.
Oh, okay.
And yet, in the last several minutes, the visiting underdog Seattle Kraken with a third-string goalie in net came back and won the game.
We still don't have a goal. Oh, okay, talk
Oh,
about
that'd be an upcoming series. Kraken talk. So thanks. Holidays, Christmas starts for me. So growing up, we had a tradition of we would cut down a Christmas tree the day after Thanksgiving every year. And we would drive to this Christmas tree farm. It felt like it was an hour and a half away.
You, as a
child.
Okay.
Yeah, as a child growing up in St. Louis, we drove to, it's called Pea Ridge Farm. It felt like an hour and a half away. Maybe it was. And it was a long day, and we just you drive out there, you'd ride some tractor out into the farm, you got your saw, and we would just walk for what felt like hours to find the perfect tree. And basically, I think the goal was, once everyone is crying or no longer talking to each other, the next tree we see is the one we get. That was our tradition. Then we got hot cocoa, and they had a cool gift shop, and they had ornaments. They had these pewter ornaments every year. They'd make a new one. So as we're decorating the tree, we didn't put it up right away. We put it in the garage for like a week or two. It seemed like
In water.
yeah, in a bucket of water in its little
Yep.
plastic netting. So that was growing up. In my home now, on Thanksgiving we watch Elf. It's one of our Thanksgiving traditions is we watch Elf, and that's how I know Christmas is starting. And then after that, we'll put Christmas music on. Certainly the next day, the day after Thanksgiving, Christmas music is on, but Christmas starts for us with Thanksgiving watching Elf.
That movie never gets old.
It never does.
Never does.
Really cool thing about that movie, like it's a movie from like our generation that is a classic. Because like growing up, all the Christmas classics were like way before.
Let the
my
listeners
time.
know when Shane says our generation, he looks at Brenda, not me and Jan.
No. Yeah, thank you for that. Yes. So like, I mean, like my Christmas classics when I was growing up were
My
like,
generation.
Yeah. And so Elf came
Our
out,
generation.
and like, I remember seeing it in theaters. I was like, wow, that was a good movie, and never thinking it would have any kind of like longevity past its release. So it's
It
just.
has.
It's
It has.
But
yeah.
they still play some of those older Christmas movies, the ones that are on not Disney Channel, like I forget what channel they would come out on, but it's the Rudolph, but it's the old animation and they're
half
kind of
hour animation show.
yeah. And I mean, those are still they're out every year. They still play them. And those are also I would consider classics. Like it's not really Christmas time until you see some of those.
When
Yeah.
Elf came out, we went as a staff to see Elf.
Ooh.
Wow.
The glory days.
In case we wanted to go as a staff to see a Christmas movie this year.
Is there a good one that we have time that's going to be worth it?
No idea.
Okay.
All Pastor Dan has done is forced me to watch the first episode of The Office.
That's right.
One, is that as far as you got?
That's as far as you got.
Yeah.
There's some good Christmas episodes there too. All right, that's not today's topic though. We're getting ready for Thanksgiving. It's the first part of November. Thanksgiving is often a time where we are either guests in someone else's home, we are having guests in our home. Maybe there's even a certain sensitivity to generosity and kindness and loving others and kind of welcoming the stranger in a certain sense, in a kind of philanthropic, taking care of our neighbor sort of way. But today we're talking about hospitality with that mindset, thinking about Thanksgiving, having people over or being a guest, and realizing that that setting of being welcomed as a guest or welcoming others happens in a variety of contexts, certainly beyond the Thanksgiving table or going to grandma's or hosting a meal at your place or going to your in-laws. And so I wanted to just have some conversation around the table today about experiences you've had where hospitality went well and maybe some experiences where it didn't go so well, and just to sort of maybe share some stories around that, but also peel back some layers and figure out what are there best practices, are there worst practices, is there something in us that makes that hard, or maybe something in us that we really are wired to want that reception well, to be done well. So what partly kicked this thought off for me, besides Thanksgiving, is Brenda sharing a recent experience. I don't know, Brenda, can I just kind of throw you right into it and talk about a recent experience where you got to feel what hospitality could or couldn't feel like when it's done well or not?
Yes. So we recently moved to south of Seattle. We were north of Seattle. So with the move meant finding a new gym. And I feel like I'm still in the process of finding one. So I've checked out 2 recently. And one I went to this last week in the middle of the day. So I knew that I was going to be here at work in the morning and the evening. So I went, and just going into a new place like that and knowing that machines and all that's going to be in a different spot gives me some anxiety. So I'm already walking in with some anxiety, like, this is a new place. This is a new gym. I'm not going to know where things are, and that's going to be awkward already, but I'm going in the middle of the day, so there won't be as many people. So maybe it'll be less awkward. So I went to one, and I walk in, and there was nobody at the front desks. So I don't even know if my card will work there because I've got a multi-membership now. So I just scan it, hope that it beeps. And if it doesn't, hope that I can find somebody that can help me with that. So it worked, but not seeing anybody that works there. And everything is laid out different. This is a 2-story thing, so cardio machines are up top and everything else is in the bottom. I start to walk towards the back to the weights, and then I think, nope, I should just leave. I don't know where things are. I'm uncomfortable. And then I think, no, I drove here. I've got like 45 minutes. I might as well make the most of it. I think, okay, I'll go upstairs and I'll just jump on a treadmill and look down and see if I can figure things out from here. And I've got my headphones in, and the battery's dead, so I'm like, I can't even listen to music, but I'm gonna keep them in anyway. I'm just gonna pretend that I've got music going, and I'm just gonna do this. And so I'm up there for 5 minutes. I think, all right, I just need to go down there and find at least one machine that looks familiar and try to get some of my workout in. So I go and I do that and go through most of the things. And I mean, I don't expect anybody to say hi because it's the gym, so nobody does, but I just feel like eyes on me, like they surely know that I don't belong, that I this is my first time and I don't know what I'm doing. I forget how I'm supposed to face in this one machine, and there's no one to ask for help or anything. So I'm just gonna go through it, and got as much of my workout done as I could before I came back to work. And I just left feeling like that was not fun. I don't know if I'll go back to that one. I wish I had gone with somebody that I knew. Like, it'd be so fun to have like a workout partner that's maybe been there before, and knows where the things are. Like, that would have been so much better. So that was one experience. So
you knew that going into it, it sounded like you were sort of not talking yourself out of it, but you had an awareness of, I don't belong here.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I don't fit in. I don't want to put words in your mouth,
Yeah.
but it's kind of what I heard.
Definitely.
And then your experience certainly kind of validated that or reinforced that. Mm-hmm. And the last thing you said was, it would have been very different if you had somebody with you.
Totally different. Would have been a completely different experience. I would have felt more comfortable because at the very least, even if they don't know everything that there is to know about that gym, at least we can talk to each other. And so then it's less awkward. It's less uncomfortable. And it's somebody to kind of hang with. And that was kind of my experience at my old gym. I had a friend that was going with me. And so early mornings, even if I'm kind of stumbling my way through something, she was there and I could say, am I doing this right? Are my feet positioned right? Can you just like tell me if I'm doing it wrong? Or, all right, where are you going next? I'll save a machine right next to me so that we can do that part together. And then we'd leave and talk about, all right, so I'll see you in a couple days, and just made it something to look forward to versus something that I'm dreading. Like, sometimes exercise is not super fun. So at least that way it made it more fun. I had a friend to do it with. Yeah.
So that was your previous gym. You had that. And then you described your midday workout, cardio, awkward, dead headphones. And then you went back to the same gym or a different gym? What?
I went to a different one. There's another one that's closer to where I live. And I still haven't explored the machines, but I went for a Zumba class because I love Zumba. I think that it's fun. You're in a class environment, and it's typically super, super fun. And again, I just felt so awkward because this class in particular, everybody knew each other. It was so clear. Everybody knows each other. Everybody's saying hi. People are dancing from one end of the room to the other and being loud. And that's just the culture of that class. And I'm just standing in the back, taking sips of water. Like, I know nobody. I've gone to it twice. And the second time was right before Halloween. And apparently they all decided they were going to dress up. Like, this was a plan as a class. So I show up, I'm like, oh, everyone's in costume. I am not. And the instructor wanted to take a group picture, and I thought, oh, great. And so I get roped in because it's even more awkward if I just stand to the side. So I'm in this picture of, I don't know how many people's phones, but I don't know anybody. I guess I could say, hi, I'm Brenda, and try to meet people, but I'm there to work out too, and it just hasn't happened yet. So that was weird. Like, they all got the memo. I didn't. And then at the very end, it was electric slide time. And that was when I slid my way out the door. I said, I'm leaving. Nope. I've had about enough of this like awkward new people time, and I'm going to go home. Yep.
I remember a few years ago, I don't remember what congregation I was in, but in our tradition, Reformation Day is typically the last Sunday in October, and the church is often decorated with red. as kind of a remembrance and celebration of the outpouring of the Spirit of God. And so a lot of people who've been in a Lutheran setting for a while will wear red on Reformation Day.
Right.
And I remember a member or visitor who had a very similar experience of they came up and they're like, Pastor, why is everyone wearing red? I didn't get the memo. Everyone else, the insiders already knew what to do and nobody told me. And they felt really left out on that Sunday morning simply by wardrobe. And it's not, it wasn't even that 80% of the people did, but if you take a random sampling of what colors people wear in a Sunday, it was clearly a statistical anomaly. Like there was way more red than normal.
And red stands out.
Yeah. So it probably wasn't even 50% of the room, but it was enough that there's a coordinated effort that I'm not in on. And Brenda, as you were describing that group, my guess is the people in that room beside you would have described that room as so loving and so friendly and so welcoming.
Oh, yeah.
That was their experience, which was not at all yours.
No. And I know that if I keep going, if I had been there longer, it would have been different for me too. But it just happened to be that on this, like these special days that they were dressing up and everything, I happened to be new. And how would I have known that they were going to do those things? And also just, it is kind of sad to be on the outside looking and like, oh, like that looks fun. Like I wish I was already there. I wish I already had the connections with the people. And how do you break into that? Like, I don't know. How do you break into friend groups and cliques when they're already established? That's hard. It's hard when you're middle school and high school. It's also hard when you're an adult.
Yeah. Yeah, it is hard. I wish I already had that. I like how you said that. Like there's an implied history that takes to get to a spot like that. You can't just be there. You got to put in time. But once other people have put in time, how do you get caught up? Or how do you get your foot in the door?
That your gym experience reminds me of Lauren and my recent gym experience when we were driving around Federal Way, just going inside these different gyms, seeing which ones are good and which ones we like and whatnot. And finally we went to the Federal Way Community Center, and one of the first people we see is Kat Johnson, who the member here, she was on the podcast, and she worked there. And she was like, oh my gosh, can I, like, because we were getting a tour from somebody else, and she was like, hey, I know them, can I give them the tour?
Cool.
And so it was much more like, we know someone, wow. And so like it immediately felt 10 times more comfortable because we were with someone we knew.
It's more personal.
Yeah, it became personal, and like she knew people who then were like, hey, this is blah, blah, like this is Shane and Lauren. Like, and so like she introduced, and so like having that just one mutual like person like to connect made all the difference from all the gyms. We're like, well, we know somebody here, and it makes this, even if another place was objectively better with equipment and whatnot, like this feels better because we knew this person. So like, that made it better.
Yeah.
Feeling isolated is a hard thing. I went to a leadership conference years ago, and it was north of here, of which city I don't remember because I don't remember those things. But I was by myself. I didn't go with anybody, but I thought it would be a good conference to go to. So I went, and traffic was horrible, so already running late. And then I get lost rather easily, so I got lost going there. And I arrived quite late and walked into, it was a church facility, walked in, there was nobody in the lobby, like nobody was there. Nobody at a table to welcome you, to give you your name tag, all the stuff you get at a conference. Nobody was there. So I'm wandering, trying to even figure out where I'm supposed to go. There's no way to tell. So I'm just wandering around, and I finally go into the worship center, and they're talking, and I come out and there's still nobody there. So I asked somebody where I get all the information, and they kind of blew me off and said, well, you should have been here on time. That information was way over there, which was all closed now. And then lunchtime, they gave you a bag lunch that you eat, and I'm by myself. So I go to table after table to ask if I can sit there, and all the spots were reserved. And there was just it was a leadership conference, and I'm going, well, this is hard. I mean, this is really hard. I was all by myself, and it just felt like closed doors all morning long. It was tough. Yeah. Felt very isolating.
It's amazing how, I mean, I was going to say most of us at the table are mature adults and then make a joke about shame, but I'll reserve that for later. But even as Brendo said a minute ago, this isn't a middle schooler or teenager thing, that a table of secure, functioning adults with spouses and, jobs, something as little as nobody greeted me at the door is a really big deal.
It's a big deal.
I went to a restaurant not long ago. I think it was for my sister-in-law's birthday, maybe. And it was a restaurant where they seat you, real fancy, cloth napkins and everything. But
wow.
we walked in, and the host wasn't there, so there's nobody at that front desk. And after about 4 seconds, I wanted to leave. I was like, if you don't care enough to be here when I walk in, I don't want to be here. And made me think about church. Was my first thought is, if somebody comes to our congregation, are they going to be greeted? What if they come 10 minutes late?
Right.
Because we're not a big enough church. We don't have a 40-person hospitality staff of paid people. The people here are volunteers, and they want to go to church. And so that's a tough thing. And yet other churches, other organizations crush it. I mean, they do awesome. I served in Omaha for a few years, and in North Omaha, it's primarily an African-American community, and there's a group there called Abide, and they are hospitality on steroids 24/7. I mean, you do any event, there's going to be 20 people outside clapping as you walk in and giving you like this double high five as you walk in for everything, whether it's church or a conference or whatever. They're going to all have matching t-shirts on. They're going to be hooting. They're going to, if they know your name, they're going to be yelling it. If they don't, somebody's going to ask it, and they're going to turn around. Hey, y'all, this is Brenda. And then they're Brenda. Like you walk in and you feel like a celebrity every time. And it's just people clapping and caring. Like that, they're not. Like, there's nothing magical about it, but that we care about you. We were expecting you. We're glad you're here. Is so amazing. Other experiences where you've experienced, maybe it's a business, maybe it's a home. Where have you experienced that feeling of I'm welcomed and loved and belong here, even though I know I'm a guest, maybe I don't feel like a guest? Some of the things I heard earlier was if you go with someone, even if you're both strangers to that organization or that place, to have a buddy makes a big difference. And then Shane shared, if there's somebody who's representing that host site who knows you, that's like next level. Jen, you were going to say something?
Well, I was going to say that Thanksgiving for us, several years ago, my son married, and the first year after they were married, they said, well, we would like to do Thanksgiving together, like both sides of the family come to our house instead of us going to both parents' house. And that way we have one meal all together. And I thought, well, okay, we can do that. And then the first Thanksgiving comes, I'm going, well, I know these people, but I don't know these people. And she has a lot of family, and it's just Robert and I. And go, what will this be like? And they are just so loving and open and want to be with other people. So it was a very friendly and engaging time. And now I look forward to going every year. Sometimes these people we only see at Thanksgiving because that's now our tradition, to all be together as one family, both sides of the family. And I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are the things that make for a good guest experience, like, especially in somebody's home? Think about hospitality, not just organizations.
I was just thinking, there was a time that I flew back to California, I think for a conference, but I went there early, and I had somebody that was a former professor for me in college, but now I would just consider friend, and I think she considers herself like older sister, aunt to me. And she invited me to stay over at their house for 1 or 2 nights before the conference. And her daughter gave up her bedroom for me, like one of her daughters. So I stayed in that room, and I was just part of whatever they were doing. Like, we're all going out to get ice cream. You're coming with us. We're playing a board game. Which one do you want to play with us, Brenda? And they had other guests come over just for quick visits, and I was introduced to them. Like, I wasn't just like off in a corner somewhere. So in everything, I was included and made to feel like I was part of that family for that 1 or 2 nights. So that was really special. I think back to things like that and the way that makes you feel to be welcomed into somebody else's family, I think is a big deal. And some families are more closed off, like home is for my family only. But some people say doors are open for whoever wants to come over. They're always welcome. There's always food in the fridge. If you can find it, you can eat it, like that kind of thing, which is kind of fun.
Yeah. Shane, what about you? Any experiences where as a guest you felt loved, welcomed, accepted, belonging?
Yeah, I would say I haven't gained an appreciation of hospitality until like really working here at St. Luke's, because I wasn't ever the person hosting until I was, in some sense, until like I had my own apartment and I had my own place to live, and then when like I start inviting people over, and then like, oh wow, there's a lot of like prep work and a lot of boxes to check to make sure that somebody feels like they're welcome here, or like, and I don't know. So I think good experiences I have of hospitality, I think I would say looking back at Concordia University Irvine, they really try to go above and beyond for any event they host. Because like when I was a student there, for me, it was all just like, oh, this is cool. There's a lot of stuff happening. But now looking back, I'm like, there's a lot of work they put into making sure that each person who comes and visits this campus, make sure that they are above and beyond seen, that like they are known. And so like one of the events I didn't go to at Concordia University Irvine, but I was helped work at when I was there. I can't remember what it was called, like a Walk of Fame or Hall of Fame. I don't know, but it was basically a day where a good mass of students come in to visit the campus, and they treat it like each student is a celebrity. And so when you like show up, you pull up and like walk to the entrance, just a horde of students, workers, whatever, are there, and just, like you were saying, applauding, cheering. They're like, yeah, go, yeah. And they're like cheering you down this whole like walkway. And then like, that's when they're greeted by someone, and then, taken to this place and shown, given this whole special tour, and there's special food that day. You knew when the cafeteria had really good food that they were visitors.
That's awesome.
But they did that well. Like it worked for me when I was there, because when I was visiting Concordia Irvine, they had turkey burgers, and
turkey burgers.
Everyone in the cafeteria was like, "It's Turkey Burger Day!" And and me as a Wisconsinite, I was like, "Why is everyone so excited about turkey burgers?" I was like, "I've had terrible experiences with it," but no, they made great turkey burgers, and it was the best food. And Lauren and I we didn't steal it. We have the recipe for it.
That's awesome.
Amazing. But this good hospitality that I've seen is like being seen, being included in everything. But also I think in that having like your own space to process things, because I do think there were times where like there wasn't somebody by your side who was part of the event, and for you to just like process things and like, this is really cool, this is awesome. Because I think there is a bar of like too much hospitality where like stop, give me space. Like I want to like appreciate the things that are happening in some sense. But I think the big thing though is included. Like I think I'd much rather be over included than just unseen and forgotten and left to who knows where. But
yeah, and I think there's passive and active ways of being included. So a passive or uncomfortable way for me as a pastor, I officiate weddings and things like that, and so I often don't go to the receptions because I'm just a stranger. Nobody wants to sit by the clergy. It's like a punishment. But, then you're finding your spot at the table, and then there's name, placards or whatever, but I don't know these people and they don't know me. And so we can kind of like look at each other's name. And that's very different than if the groom is like, hey, Uncle Joey, this is Pastor Dan. So like actively including people feels really good to me, as opposed to just sort of you're forced to now relate because we've put you at the same table or next to each other. At least I'm too introverted for that to be comfortable for me.
Well, as you were saying that, it brought to mind a time when we went to a wedding reception and my husband was the officiant and we didn't know anybody. And we went to this restaurant and all of these people had these like high class jobs, and we just felt very different in personality from everybody who was around the table. And we walked in and everybody there was warm and welcoming. They included us in conversation, not just at the beginning, hi, how are you? Nice to see you here, but throughout the evening. And I was surprised, that we could have that conversation because they were so different than we were. And it was so wonderful to be part of the group. We were kind of automatically part of their group as we were there. It was very cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
What about when you're hosting? Are there things that you try to do for guests, or as you just bought a new house and you're thinking about potential guests coming over someday, are there things like, okay, if people come to our place, I want this to be their experience?
I think food is a big deal. So like we're planning to have people over soon and we're thinking through, okay, will there be games around? Adam wants to make sure the football game's on in case people just kind of want to chill and relax and there's some background noise to make it a little less awkward for people. And what food are we going to have? We got to make sure we have enough of it and people know where the things are. So
do you label it? Do you put
label food?
Yeah, like, so for me, I'll just put a bowl of chips and salsa.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put mild salsa may contain peanuts or something like that.
My daughter-in-law does that. She has this
some people
spread
are
and
awesome.
It's gorgeous. Her tables are absolutely beautiful. Everything has a label on it. There's tiers.
Ingredients, allergy alerts.
It's wonderful.
But that probably makes her happy.
It does make her happy.
Okay, to do that. Yeah.
So different style.
Yeah.
Different style.
Like I want people to be comfortable and I'll have things out, and I do like labeling and organization, but I'm probably not going to label food stuff.
The cheese dip.
Yeah. Costco pizza. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. What about you, Shane? Any things you do or want to do as hosts so that?
Yeah. And the thing I wrestle with like hosting things at like Lauren and I's home is I always want to have the clarity, not the clarity, but the openness to say like, this is our home and like, faults and all, we're open and this is who we are. But at the same time, we'd like put the pressure on ourselves. So we're like, we want people to feel welcome and say like, we really cleaned for you. And we like,
oh yeah, clean.
It's just this weird balance, but I don't know, like what the right answer is. Like should I over clean and make things like, so like that's not who we are, or like our house is never this clean at any point in time, but it is for these people and we want them to be special. But also, is that fake? Like that we like, I don't know. But when Lauren and I do prep or like, open our home for people, like we clean, like make sure, we get the right food. Like we make sure we get the right food, drinks, and like think about the people like, oh, this game would be fun for them. And so prep it and whatnot. Yeah.
I think, when you're hosting, you think way more about the prep stuff, like the cleaning and all of that. But when you're going over to someone's house, like I've gone over to people's homes or just in their car and they're like, I'm so sorry for the mess or this or that. I honestly don't even notice it because that's not why I went to their house or got in their car. I went to go hang out with them and we're just like, I'm just going to sit on your unmade bed, cross-legged, and you start packing your stuff and we'll just keep talking and doing what we're going to do. So I don't focus on that stuff. But yet, when I'm on the other end, I'm focused on it's got to be super clean.
I think names are like that too. When you don't know somebody's name, it feels so hard to ask.
Oh, yeah.
And yet when somebody asks your name, you don't care at all.
Right. When my kids were little and we would be doing cleaning, their question always was, who's coming over? It's not like I only clean when people come over, but I did clean before people came over. I have a hard time as hostess. My husband is much better than this, but when people come over, I have a tendency to just sit there and visit with them and then realize, I don't know how many minutes in, I should probably have offered them, something to drink, or do you need anything? I don't think of those things. Somebody else has to remind me that I might want to think about their comfort. Yeah. And I'm just thinking about chatting. That's it.
Yeah. I think for us, one of the phrases I use at our house is we lower the bar on entertaining. Also, by the way, that cleaning thing, that's a good reason to invite people over. Like, yeah, keep your house clean. Invite people over. And so we certainly tidy up. But for us, I want to lower the bar in entertaining so that have people over, and I want people to leave our house and go, well, if the Weber's going to have people over, we certainly can. Because I think we have this pressure that we don't host until it's a certain imaginary threshold of goodness, and who cares? So yeah, we try to lower the bar in entertaining, and we tidy, but it's real life. A couple other things for us is first thing I always point out the bathroom, whether it's at church or at home. It's such an awkward thing if you're a guest, like, I gotta pee. Like it's just a weird thing to ask. Like, I need to go take care of business. Can you point me to that direction? So first thing people come in, before I don't take their coat. I point out a chair. Here's the bathroom. Better lock it. Otherwise the kids are going to barge in. If you want to throw a coat in that couch, you can. Shoes on or off. I don't care. But it's bathrooms first. Similarly, our trash can is visible. But sometimes trash cans are hidden, and as a guest, I know that feels weird to just go on a little scavenger hunt through somebody's kitchen. So that'd be my other tip: is either point it out or put it out, and don't let people just like wander your hallway for the bathroom or a trash can. Those are the two big stressors for me. If I'm a guest, those are the two things that stress me out more than just about anything.
I think the big thing, like trash can, which I haven't thought about until you've said it, because I can't tell you how many times I've gone to people's homes and I'm just opening their cupboards. Just
like, is it under the sink?
Yeah.
Does it pull out over here?
It's in the garage.
And then it's like, it's just hidden so far. Like, I never would have guessed that your trash is in there. Like, how is this convenient for you guys? Each time you have to throw things away. Like, I don't know.
You guys mentioned several different ways, including each, being included, and whether that's, I added in, introducing people actively. Hey, have you met this person? So we do that a lot. And then the other, I think people can be included in different ways. So we're very casual, which will surprise none of you or most of our listeners, and people can entertain formally, and that's great too. But one of the ways we include people is we put them to work. So if you come early to the Weber's house, you'll be chopping tomatoes or lettuce. And I think that's okay. And I think it's a good way to be included, and it gives you something to do rather than just, well, I've got my drink in my hand and I'm watching you work and this is awkward. To say, hey, there's bowls over there, or there's chips in the pantry, or if I get you a cutting board and knife, would you be able to dice the tomatoes? So letting people help, or asking them to help, is one of the ways that we include people, for better or worse. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I am the type of person that wants to help. I would be feeling awkward, like, I feel like I should help, but I don't know how to ask, or I already did, and they said, no, it's okay. But yet I can see they've got lots to do, and I just feel like, I want to help, but don't know how. So to take the pressure off of me asking, do you just say, hey, can you do this? Yeah, I'm happy to. I want to, so...
Yeah, you can get a feel for it. I mean, if this is like a tuxedo kind of event, you're not going to have them. Whatever.
Yeah, you read the room.
Read the room. Yeah.
I like having a game on, or games, like board games, tabletop games out, but the sporting event on TV. Again, as casual people, I try to think, at least sometimes, of others, but mainly of myself. And so if I'm a guest, I know I'm uncomfortable if I can't find the bathroom or the trash can. If the World Series is on and Charlotte accepted some invitation to go to somebody else's house, like I'm thinking about, is the game going to be on? Or am I going to have to sneak a look at my phone? So to have an awareness of there's a thing that's going on that people might care about, just have it on. Although it's not always true if it's not something I don't care about. So like the presidential debate might be going on. If you come into my house, it's not going to be on TV. Like that might be a big world thing. It's not on our, we don't get that channel. I'll just tell you right now, we don't get that channel. But if it's a sporting event, I'll probably have it on.
I think it's important when we have people over that everybody knows each other and something about that person. So when someone comes over that is new, like to a group or something that we're doing, to make sure they not only know their name, but one little thing about them so that they have a conversation starter as they visit. If I have to walk away, a conversation can happen too.
So as a host, you're saying, hey, Brenda, have you met Shane? I think you guys both went to school in California, or Brenda's from Northern California, which is very different than Wisconsin.
Yeah, something like that. Right.
Yeah. Maybe some of this all. Yeah. I think, by the way, as listeners or viewers, you might be shaking your head going, I'm never going to any of their places. That's not how it works. And I think that's okay. I think people host very differently.
People host differently.
Some people use china, some people use paper plates, and that's okay. I think this is always worth digging into, but especially coming out of COVID when we were just isolated for a couple of years and our social skills in some ways plummeted. I remember the first, 3 months back when we had on-site worship, every Sunday morning I'd have to make some announcement that felt like training just little humans again to say, hey, you might want to give someone a hug. They might not be up for a hug.
Right.
So maybe ask before you just hug someone. Like we're kind of retraining people, but I think hospitality is a similar of, okay, a lot of people are becoming more and more comfortable. Things seem normal and we're getting into our routines, and starting to do more life together.
Here we are.
And so Thanksgiving will perhaps be an occasion to be a host or a guest. Hopefully this conversation today gave some thought, fodder for thought about what it feels like to be a good host, what it feels like to be received well. Maybe some practical tips. I don't know. Did you three any of you take anything out of this to say, okay, there's something, or that gives me a reminder of what that feels like or what I could be doing? Any takeaways, Jan?
Takeaway, just to help people feel comfortable as they come to your home, in whatever way that needs to be. Like you said, here's the bathroom. That's a huge thing for me. When I go to other people's houses, I appreciate that. So as a reminder to me to be a good host, there are certain things that you want people to know right off the bat.
Yeah. Brenda, any takeaways?
Yeah, I think just a reminder to notice people. I think especially at a place like a gym or a church, it's pretty clear when somebody is new, and to not tiptoe around it and just go and say hi. And thinking about the examples you two gave of, the applause, like over the top kind of hospitality, that's really just noticing and not tiptoeing around the fact that somebody is new, not like that side of like, I think they're new, I'm going to give them the space, but to just go ahead and go for it and say hi.
Yeah. Shane, what about you? Any guest or hospitality hosting takeaways from this?
Yeah, I think, thinking about everything, it's good to, I think, set expectations for your hospitality to talk about it, not just, if Lauren and I are preparing for someone to come over, I think a lot of times we just assume we have to do this. Have you done that? But to actually talk about what do we want for this person when they come? Do you think they'll even care about blah or but just to talk about what do we want from this person coming over? Just to have fun, just to learn more about them. I don't know, but I think a big thing to just set expectations, to talk about what do you want from this hospitality, for people visiting or whatnot.
And you can even let them know what those expectations are. So again, before COVID, we would have a couple staff or church board meals at my place. And in my invitation, I'd usually say something like, I'm going to be wearing a t-shirt and jeans, wear whatever you want. Just like, hey, this is the tone, so that they're. My friend Shane here doesn't watch The Office, but about 7 times today, just in this conversation, I'm like, oh, this is a great Office reference for that. One was the outdoor, like the whatever party where Dwight was the host and Jim made up this garden book of like you announce people's names, and the louder you say their name, the more honor it bestows on them. And then just now it's talking about when Daryl wants to date that lady, and they have got the party down in the dock, and he asks she asks him, what should I wear? He's like, oh, it's real fancy. And she wears this super elegant dress, and really uncomfortable because they had different expectations.
Or Michael with that other woman and told her that it was a costume party, and it wasn't, and she dressed up as a cheerleader, and it was a different kind of a celebration.
All right. So if you're hosting someone, you should ask them, have you seen The Office?
And if not, this might not be the party for you. So Shane feels left out right now, and that's on purpose.
Out of spite. Again, that's why I don't watch The Office. Right. Just so I can continue to push.
I love it, Shane. So my takeaway, put my kind of pastor of St. Luke's hat on for a second, is when I meet with new members or people who are joining the church, one of the things they almost always share was they felt so loved and welcomed, and people were so friendly here. And I think there are as many, if not more, people on the other side who didn't come back because they didn't feel that way. And so if you're part of a church or an organization, keep a head up for people you don't know, for visitors, for people who are alone or don't know where they're going. It's usually pretty obvious when someone can't find what they're looking for. They typically are very reticent to engage. And as organizational leader, as pastor, as clergy, I can certainly do that, and maybe it's my job too. But it also looks self-serving when I do, and I don't want to appear or be like the salesman in the used car lot. Even the gym manager, they can come say hi. It's very different than if another gym patron's just like, hey, I don't think I've seen you before. Like, that's just worlds apart. So if you're part of St. Luke's, I would love your help looking for people, for saying hi, for giving a high five, for introducing yourself, for just having that intentionality to look for others and think about others. That doesn't matter how old or young that person is, how professional or successful they may or may not be. All of us have this sort of insecurity of it doesn't feel good to be alone and to be loved and welcomed. They'll remember that more than the sermon or the Bible study or the music or the craft or the coffee. Every time.
If you awkwardly introduce yourself to them and you're like, oh, that was terrible for you maybe, but for that person, you could have been the only person to talk to them that whole time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it matters tremendously. And if you're hosting people in your home this Thanksgiving, maybe some of these ideas are useful. Otherwise, Google your own, or at least put some thought into it of how we're going to make people feel welcome and loved and comfortable when they're here.
And don't talk about The Office.
And don't talk about The Office if not everyone has seen it. Or go the other way and do it all the time.
Until they watch.
I'm not even trying to wear him down at this point. I'm just having fun at his expense.
One episode is a start.
It's good. All right. Well, Shan, Brenda, Shane, thanks for being here. Thanks for the conversation. Help yourself to candy corn on the way out. Listeners and viewers, thank you for taking the time. We appreciate you. We don't know all of your names, but if you leave a comment or review or send us an email, we would love to have that connection. If you happen to be in the Federal Way area of Washington, come by on a Sunday morning, say hi. We don't promise that it'll be perfect, but we care, and it's a work in progress. So happy Halloween, happy All Saints Day, happy Thanksgiving, almost Merry Christmas, but not quite yet.
Yeah.
All right.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. Have a great week. Christmas is less than 53 or so days.
53.
Yeah.
All right. Till next time. Adios.
That's the end of the episode, but we want to continue the conversation. Continue the conversation by sharing this episode, subscribing, or leaving a review. Connect with us on Instagram at 2414podcast. Connect with us through email at 2414@stlukes-church.com. Or best of all, keep the conversation going by inviting someone to process with you so that you can each walk away with more understanding that leads to more conversation as the journey continues. If you happen to be in the Seattle-Tacoma area of Washington, stop by on a Sunday morning and say hi. 2414 is a podcast produced by St. Luke's Lutheran Church in Federal Way, Washington. To find more content, discover upcoming opportunities to connect in person, or to support the show, head on over to stlukes-church.com. Thanks for walking with us.